So there are a few different things I want to go through in today's video. Lots of times I usually just cover one topic in each video just to keep it simple, but today I have a few different things. First off, starting with a little update the Packers made to Aaron Rodgers' contract, and then moving on to something Devondre Campbell had to say about Quay Walker, and I want to talk a little bit about the Packers middle linebacker, the situation currently going on right there. Also, just want to let you guys know I will probably be going live later tonight, probably like 5:30 p.m. Central, maybe 6 p.m. Central, so if you're watching this, maybe it's already past that time, but just a heads up. I've gone live the past 2 nights, mainly just playing Madden, hanging out, talking with you guys, answering random questions, things like that, Packers, other stuff. So feel free to come by later today if you're not watching this, before it's that time. So first off, earlier today, the Packers made a little change on Aaron Rodgers' contract, and my notes just completely disappeared, so let's try to get those back up. Okay, got it working again. So it came out from Field Yates earlier today, and he tweeted this on Twitter. As a part of his contract extension this offseason, Aaron Rodgers received a $40.8 million bonus. I mean, that would be real nice to get a $40 million bonus. That was due to be paid by December 31st. Green Bay recently tweaked the deal, paying Rodgers $20.8 million by June 20th and $20 million more by September 30th. Monday will be a great day for Rodgers. So the Packers have basically moved his signing bonus date from December 31st to a lot earlier. So this seems like a very nice situation for Aaron Rodgers. He's getting $40 million a lot sooner than he had expected. $20.8 million comes to him, I guess, in 4 days. I wonder how that works. Like, does he just get like a wire for 20 mil? Just like, oh, there's my 20 million. This is nice. I guess a lot goes to taxes, maybe 50% for Rodgers, considering how much money he makes. But that has to be a wild feeling to get a wire for 20 million. So 20 million he gets on June 20th, and then another 20 million on September 30th. So nothing really changed about his contract. The only thing that has changed is when Rodgers gets paid this bonus. But then I want to look a little more at his contract. There is some information here tweeted by Ken Ingalls, who has lots of good stuff on the Packers salary cap, so you should go follow him over there on Twitter at Ken Ingalls. But here he has to say this: Aaron Rodgers will earn $42 million in cash in 2022, yet only $9.36 million counts on the 2022 cap. 2023, $59.5 million cash, $15.74 million on the cap. 2024, $49.3 million cash, $17.97 million on the cap. Huge built-in cap proration here. If he plays 3 years and retires, the Packers end up with $76.8 million dead cap over 2025 to 2026, which is wild. That's a massive, massive dead cap if Rodgers decides to leave after 3 years. But I feel like if that were to happen, the Packers and him could work out some kind of situation to hopefully lower that dead cap a little bit, possibly. I would hope that could happen. If not, that's a massive dead cap hit if Rodgers does decide to leave. But when I was looking at that, he says only $9 million counts against the cap this year of the $42 million. And I was curious, like, okay, I know Rodgers has a higher cap hit than $9 million. It's around $28 million. But I found someone who answered this question, and this makes sense. And Ken Ingalls said this guy was correct in his assumption of exactly what it means. But here, Retro Bull High Roller says only $9 million of the $42 million of cash counts this year. The remaining $19 million of cap hit this year is previous year's prorations from his last contract. Some confusing language there, but that's how it counts. Total of $28 million. He was just referencing the new contract when he said $9 million. So overall, Aaron Rodgers has a $28 million cap hit for 2022, which is a lot lower than before he signed his new 3-year, $150 million contract extension. And then if we finish off here from Ken Ingalls, he says this in one more final tweet. He says, does Rodgers play 3 more years? Probably not. So it ends up being one and done for Rodgers. So if it ends up being one and done for Rodgers, the Packers are left with only $40.31 million of dead cap hit in 2023-24. If it's 2 years and done, then they are hit with $68.21 million of dead cap in 2024-2025. So we don't know when Rodgers is going to retire. I honestly don't even think Aaron Rodgers right now knows when he's going to retire, because if you watch some of his previous press conferences, I believe it was a minicamp press conference, he said that he knows he's going to play this year, but after that, he has to see sort of how he feels and if he wants to continue playing. So there's a possibility he doesn't play more than a season. It's definitely possible. And if that happens, as Ken Ingalls said, he'll have a $40 million dead cap hit, which is pretty large, but it gets much, much larger if he decides to stay 2 years and leaves, and then that becomes $68.21 million. And with Rodgers and the uncertainty of how many more years he's going to play, I mean, I'm just happy that he's going to be here for a few more years. As long as Rodgers stays here, I'll be very, very satisfied. So there is a question for when Rodgers leaves, what's going to happen, because Jordan Love is still here waiting in the back saying, Aaron, are you going to be here forever? I would assume Jordan Love wants to start in the NFL, because I think if you make the NFL, your goal is to start. So it has to be a little difficult for him to continue sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. Depending on how many years Aaron Rodgers plays, it does change things for Jordan Love. For example, I've said recently, also yesterday in my live stream, that if Rodgers only plays one more year, I think the Packers will hold on to Jordan Love this next season. If Rodgers decides to retire, they have Jordan Love, who's been here for 3 years at that point, if after the season. But if Rodgers stays, let's say 2 or 3 more years, at that point, the Packers either have to, give Jordan Love a new contract or trade him, let him go. And if Rodgers keeps playing, I think there's a higher chance that Jordan Love gets traded. But I do think he's going to stay on this roster until we see what Rodgers decides after this next year. And then maybe they keep him year 3 and 4, possibly. So there's lots of question marks there, but those problems are coming later in the future. Right now, we have Aaron Rodgers for this next year, and that's, I think, what we should enjoy the moment while we still have him here. And then now moving on to the next topic I want to finish off the video with, and that has to do with Devondre Campbell on Quay Walker, basically what he had to say about him. So as you can see right here, on Twitter, the Packers put out a tweet and said, a quote from Quay Walker said, "I watch him a lot. Just try to learn as much as I can from him." Quay Walker on what he's picked up from Devondre Campbell in practice. Then Devondre quote tweets that and says, "I try to help and give as much advice as I can. Even though he doesn't really need it, he's already a baller. Very smart young man with a great future ahead of him." So Quay Walker, who the Packers used their first-round draft pick on in this draft that only happened about a month and a half ago, honestly, the draft seems like it happened much, much longer ago. But the Packers used their number 22 overall pick that they got from the Las Vegas Raiders to come in and select Quay Walker. And looking back to last season and looking back to this offseason with the Packers deciding to come in, give Devondre Campbell that 5-year, $50 million deal, I didn't really expect the Packers to come in and use a first-round draft pick on a Quay Walker. But after they did it, and thinking about having Quay Walker next to Devondre Campbell, I think that thought just excites me to have two guys who are built very similarly. Devondre Campbell, 6'4", 232 pounds. Quay Walker, 6'4", 241 pounds. So two guys who are long, who are fast, who are speedy, basically built very, very similarly. And so I'm excited to see what Quay Walker can do. And Devondre Campbell seems to think he's already has lots of things together for himself. And so we saw last week in mandatory minicamp, I did a video on part of it, that Quay Walker had been playing ahead of Chris Barnes already, at least in one of last week's practices, which I assumed eventually he would. Nothing against Chris Barnes, but I think that Quay Walker is a superior athlete being drafted in the first round. So I want to look here at Devondre Campbell, just some of his stats from last year, just to show just how good he was. And it's crazy looking at his past. If you see down here at the bottom, this is PFF. Playing in Atlanta for 4 or 5 years and then Arizona for 1 year, you can see his PFF grades, 51, 68, 56, 50, 49. And then in Green Bay, 2021, 84.7. Took a huge rocket up, which, the Packers were able to do that, $2 million contract basically with Devondre Campbell. Huge steal. He had 111 tackles, 23 assists, only missed 2.9% of his tackles, which is very, very good, and had 53 stops overall. So a monster year from Devondre Campbell, especially when it came to tackling. He was flying all over the defense. And then if we look here at Chris Barnes, who had basically been the second middle linebacker, as you can see, it's 2 years in Green Bay since he came in 2020 as an undrafted player. A 43.7 grade, which is not amazing, and a 51.9 grade, which isn't too great. 526 snaps last year versus Devondre Campbell's 987 snaps. So Devondre Campbell was pretty much on the field almost every single play. And I do think that Quay Walker is going to come in and fill the role of Chris Barnes. And I also do think that the Packers will use Quay Walker and Devondre Campbell, and they're able to use them, on all 3 downs. And another way that Quay Walker and Devondre Campbell are very similar, last year, or in his college career, Quay Walker only missed 7 tackles in his entire college career in a total of 52 games. So both two very, very sure tacklers. So to have two guys on the inside on the Packers defense who rarely miss a tackle, I think the Packers are going to elevate a lot just from that factor. He runs a 4.52 40. And he was the first off-ball linebacker selected in the first round since A.J. Hawk back in 2006. Almost, 14 years, 16 years? Math, something like that. So Devondre Campbell and Quay Walker, I'm very excited to see not only the middle linebacker position, but also this Packers defense in general with all the pieces we have back with Devontae Wyatt on the defensive line, which is a whole nother subject about just how good this Packers D-line is going to be. And we have talked about this a lot these past, month or two, ever since the draft happened, about just how good this Packers defense is going to be. And I feel like now we just have to wait and see once the season starts, what are they going to do? How are they going to perform? But that's everything I wanted to cover in today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it very, very much. And I'll see you guys next time.